I help people get more done in less time by managing their anxiety and their procrastination. Those are the two things that I would say I see as the biggest dream killers in terms of why we're not doing the things that we want to do, why we don't achieve our goals, why we're overworking and burning ourselves out. So, those are the two areas that I really specialize in. And for today, I'm going to be teaching you how to stop procrastinating with some quick, fast, and dirty tips and questions, should we say? Because we're only on here for a little while. So I really wanted to leave you with something simple and actionable to apply, because I know there's lots of books, there's lots of videos, there's almost too much information about this stuff that even that can become procrastinating, right? We procrastinate from our procrastination by procrastinating. And yeah, so let's just get on with it. Um, Oh, I should also mention that I host a podcast called Fuck Anxiety and Get Shit Done, which actually reached #1 in Israel's mental health podcasts, which is really fucking cool. And that's also got loads of tips. I'll link it up afterwards or something. So I want to start by saying procrastination is not a coincidence. Like, it's not a hot topic without reason. And that's because of how our brains are wired by design, how our brains have evolved throughout history to A, conserve energy, and B, avoid exposure, failure, rejection, all of those things. And this really played a role in our survival, right? If we think about the human brain, it's been around for about 40,000 years in its most modern form, just geeking out a little bit here with you. And that means that it was around long before like smartphones, food delivery, even supermarkets, cars, like all, I mean, everything. So it used to be really beneficial if we could conserve our energy, not knowing when we would next get food. It used to be really important to not fail, to fight with a predator, to not make the wrong choice in eating the poisonous berries, all of those things. The reason why I wanted to explain that a little bit with you before we go into it is because the first step to stop procrastinating is to stop judging yourself. Like, I see this a lot of self-criticism, a lot of self-judgment, a lot of frustration with our human brain and how it is, or ourselves thinking that it should be different and we should just do the things that we say we do when we say we're going to do them. I always joke with my people, like, there's a reason the diet industry in the US is $70 billion a year, and that's because we have plans and then we have brains built for a different time. It's okay, it's not a problem, it's all learnable and teachable, really like learning a language. That's what we do with the brain. But that first step to stop judging yourself is really important, because the truth is, when you are judging yourself, you are still fucking procrastinating. It's just a really clever way our brain keeps us procrastinating. Like, don't hate your brain. It just wants to keep you alive. It thinks it's doing the right thing. It's like a computer that's been programmed for survival, right? Our brain's one job is to keep us alive, not to keep us happy all the time. And we just like, there's just a few programming errors that we get to iron out and clean up. So I just wanted to start with that. Step 1, don't judge yourself. Okay, the next step is really to understand why you are procrastinating, and it always falls into one of these 4 categories. Thoughts about you. I'm a procrastinator. It's just who I am. Hear that one a lot. Used to say that one. The second reason would be thoughts about the task. It's boring, it's hard, it's going to take forever. Third one are our thoughts about the people involved, like the stakeholders. Like, my boss is a dick, he doesn't care, things like that. And the fourth one is our thoughts about time. I'm just so busy, there's never enough time, all that kind of story. So if you do have something you are procrastinating on right now, think about which one of those buckets it sits in. Maybe it's more than one, maybe it's all of them. It doesn't matter. But really, like, after we've stopped judging ourselves, you want to spend a minute like getting onto yourself. Like, why am I actually procrastinating? What's going on here? The third step is obviously solving for them, and there's lots of different solutions for each of them. But today, to keep it actually valuable for you and not overwhelm your brain so it spins out and does nothing, I'm going to give you one like antidote for each of them. So to start with, but I should say always, the reason why I'm doing that is because we want to keep it very simple. Because another clever thing our brain will do is make things overly complicated, because when things are complicated, we go into overwhelm, and guess what we end up doing? Procrastinating again. So our brains are just really clever. So we want to keep it always really simple. No elaborate. I mean, I used to spend hours like planning and color coding and like so elaborate, and then one thing would change and it would like all go to the side and I would have to start again. So really, we don't want to be spending all of our time and our energy making really elaborate plans. Like obviously plan ahead of time, and I'll speak about that in a minute, but be mindful of like how like doing what's necessary and not all the other stuff. That's one of the biggest things that's going to save you a lot of time, keep your brain out of overwhelm, and keep you getting shit done. So the first one, if you fall into the bucket of your thoughts about you are why you procrastinate, and as I gave some examples, like I'm just a procrastinator, people will tell me I'm just indecisive, I'm just a perfectionist, all of these things. So the way we talk about ourselves matters, and it's also not factual. Like we are not put in a box 100% of the time. It's like even with confidence, we're not confident 100% of the time and unconfident 100% of the time. You might be really confident with your friends and then less confident around strangers. So are you confident or not confident? It's the same with procrastination. There are things that you procrastinate on and there are things that you do not procrastinate on. So if you have this story of I'm a procrastinator, it's just who I am. Yes, Georgia, the way we talk to and about ourselves matters. Love it. So if you are a procrastinator, it's just who you are. Think about something that you've not procrastinated on. Maybe it was moving countries. Maybe it was getting up in the morning. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's cooking good food. Maybe it's doing your food shop. Maybe it's making your bed. Like really, what we want to do here is get specific with the examples, because our brain has racked up loads of evidence for why we are a procrastinator. And well, my mum said it, and in school they said it, and when I was 5 they said it, and all these stories throughout your whole life that are very specific. So when you come to like apply the antidote, having something general like, well, I guess I do get things done, is not going to stand up in court. So you want to get very specific. Even think about today. What is something that you've not procrastinated on today? Maybe you didn't procrastinate on brushing your teeth. Like it doesn't fucking matter to start building the story and building the evidence to like balance the weights out. So that's the one tip for if you describe yourself as a procrastinator and it's your thoughts about you. The second one are the thoughts about the task at hand. And I want to be honest here. The things that you have to do and the tasks in your life are not all there to entertain you. Sometimes I had a client and she didn't want to pay her taxes. She was like, I just don't want to do it. It's boring. It's frustrating. And I told her, you don't have to do it. You can go to prison if you want. Like it's an option. And then I said to her, imagine if you were being driven up to prison, handcuffs in the back of a police car, and someone said to you, hey, all you have to do is pay your taxes. What do you think you would do? She was like, oh, I would pay them immediately. So the truth is she wanted to pay her taxes. She was just believing her story about it's boring and it's fun and giving into all that drama. And we just like switched the scenario and her thoughts about it immediately changed. So really connect with why you do want to do it. She really didn't want to go to prison, and suddenly that became much easier to get that task done, because you don't have to do anything. I promise you. You don't have to do a single thing. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to get a job. You don't have to get out of bed. So get very real and honest with yourself on why you want to. Third one is stakeholders. So when you have other people involved and you don't, have positive thoughts about them, let's say, notice who you are giving your power to. Like, do you want that person to be in charge of your mind? Do you want that person to be in charge of your schedule? Do you want that person to be responsible for you carrying around the weight of not getting something done? Is that going to be fun for you? Like, really be honest in what it is going to cost you. If you give your power away to that person, how is it going to eat up your time, your energy, your pleasures, your enjoyments, all of those things? Get very real. I recommend writing it down. What will it cost me? Knowing it literally doesn't impact them. Like, you're the one carrying the burden. Getting very real with that. I might also add here, I'm just going to add a little extra one, that when we allow other people to be human and to fuck up and to be rude and to, be stressed and all of those things, we are also opening the door to like more self-acceptance. So I highly recommend exploring that too. The last one is our thoughts about time and there not being enough. And here really comes down to setting up a process that works. And when you are making decisions for what you will and won't do, make decisions through a filter of two things. One, decisions for kindness. And what I mean by that is don't make a decision to get 20 things done today. It's not realistic. It's going to immediately cause overwhelm and stress. It's going to require you to use your brain a lot. 20 different tasks. It's like if each task had 10 different decisions around it, that's 200 decisions based on, and 10 is like, it might sound like a lot, but it's actually underestimating. What am I going to do? How long is it going to take? What should I start with? All of these different things. So make decisions for kindness, like maybe make 5 things in a day instead of 20. And the second filter is make decisions for growth. So don't just decide to do what's already easy for you. I mean, you can do, but if you have a goal that you're working towards, make sure you're making decisions that are going to push you towards it. I actually did a masterclass on how to get to-do list 0 and stay there, which I think will be really useful for anyone struggling with their thoughts about time and planning and scheduling. So I'll link that up as well. So yeah, those are the 4 quick and dirty tips to getting shit done. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. What I really wanted to do today was cut out all the noise, give you simple, actionable steps, cut through all the bullshit and the drama that our brain loves spinning in, which just creates more procrastination. So I recommend for each of you, really pick one thing that you are procrastinating on and go through the steps. Spend time to let go of the self-judgment. It's literally like weights holding you down. Sit and think about which buckets it goes into, and then whichever bucket it goes into, implement the strategy that I've given you today. That's it from me, lovely people. Happy Friday, Shana Tova. Here's to an amazing year. Go get it. And always, always remember to just like add that filter of kindness onto everything you decide to do for yourself. Bye, lovelies.